This potentially could have the biggest impact on NASCAR in history of the sport, period. If this is blown up by the judge and 2311 and Front Row win this, you could see all sorts of different things. One, there's damages, right? We're talking $200, $3 million max damages.
Denny Hamlin just stood up in a federal courtroom and told everyone exactly how much money he makes from Joe Gibbs Racing. And let me tell you, this information was supposed to stay private forever. This all happened during the biggest lawsuit NASCAR has ever seen. Hamlin and basketball legend Michael Jordan are suing NASCAR itself. They say the sport treats teams unfairly and makes it almost impossible to make money. The trial started on December 1st in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it's been absolutely wild. On day 2 of the trial, Hamlin confirmed something huge. He makes $14 million every single year just for driving the number 11 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. That's his salary as a driver, not even counting the money he makes from owning his own race team with Michael Jordan. When NASCAR's lawyers asked him why he makes so much more than other drivers, Hamlin didn't hold back. He said, "I am at the top of my game." Later, he put it even more bluntly. He told them, "Other drivers don't win as many races as I do."
This one pissed me off a little bit. NASCAR attacked Denny Hamlin for making $14 million a year. That's not very American-like, because America's land of the free. That's why everybody lines up to come to America.
Hamlin is a 3-time Daytona 500 winner and one of the best drivers in NASCAR right now. He still has 2 more years left on his contract with Joe Gibbs Racing, taking him through the 2027 season. But here's where things get really interesting. Hamlin isn't just a driver anymore. He also owns a race team called 23XI Racing with Michael Jordan. And the things he said about running that team were shocking. Hamlin was actually the very first witness called to testify. When he took the stand on that first day, he started crying. He had to stop talking and compose himself multiple times. His father is very sick and not doing well. Hamlin talked about how his parents sacrificed everything to help him become a race car driver when he was young. He explained how his working-class parents spent almost all their money to keep him racing. When he turned 20 years old, he had to make a huge decision: either keep racing or go work for his dad's trailer business. Years later, when Hamlin wanted to start his own race team, he knew he needed help. He became friends with Michael Jordan when Jordan owned the Charlotte Hornets basketball team. Hamlin was a season ticket holder, and they hit it off. Hamlin said something really important about their partnership. "If I can't be successful with Michael as a partner, I knew this was never going to work." Without Jordan's star power and ability to bring in sponsors, 23XI Racing would never have survived. Now let's talk about the money side of things. Running a NASCAR team is insanely expensive. Hamlin and Jordan have bought 3 different charters for their team. Charters are like a license that guarantees your car gets into every race. Their first charter cost $4.7 million. The second one cost $13.5 million. And the third one, which they bought last year, cost $28 million. That's a total of over $46 million just for the right to race. But that's not even close to everything. Hamlin testified that it costs $20 million per year just to bring one single car to the track for all 38 races. And that doesn't include driver salaries, building costs, or running the business. They also spent $35 million building their headquarters, which is called Airspeed. On top of that, they pay Joe Gibbs Racing $8 million every year for technical help. This includes important information and services that help them compete. With this arrangement, 23XI only needs 140 employees instead of many more. Here's the crazy part. Even with all that spending, 23XI has actually made a profit in 4 out of their 5 years in business, but the profit margins are tiny. In 2022, they made about $2.5 million in profit. In 2023, they made about $3.4 million. Hamlin explained why they've been successful when most other teams lose money. It's all because of Michael Jordan. His fame brings in about $40 to $45 million in sponsorship money. Without Jordan's name attached, they would be losing money like almost everyone else. Hamlin made this point very clear. He said, "All it takes is one sponsor to go away and all our profit is gone." The team is always just one lost sponsorship deal away from losing money. And get this. A study commissioned by NASCAR itself found that 75% of teams lost money in 2024. That's 3 out of every 4 teams operating in the red. The other team suing NASCAR is Front Row Motorsports, owned by Bob Jenkins. Jenkins testified that his team has never made a profit since he started it back in 2004. Never. Not once in over 20 years. He's lost about $100 million total, including $16 million just in the last 3 years. Now here's where Hamlin really went after NASCAR and even talked about his relationship with Joe Gibbs Racing. Back in December 2022, Hamlin had a meeting with Jim France, who runs NASCAR. France is from the family that founded and still owns the sport. Hamlin left that meeting feeling really discouraged. He said France told him that the problem with NASCAR is that teams spend too much money. France said teams should only spend $10 million per car, not $20 million. Hamlin tried to explain that cutting costs in half just wasn't realistic. He told France, "We've cut this grass so short that we are down to the dirt. There's nothing left to cut." When Hamlin asked France how he could ever get his investment back, France had no answer. Nothing at all. This is why Hamlin refused to sign the new charter agreement NASCAR offered last year. He said the proposal needed at least 8 major changes. When he pointed this out, NASCAR told him, "Negotiations are closed." Hamlin didn't hold back about what that meant. He said, "I didn't sign because I knew this was my death certificate for the future." He believed if they signed that agreement, 2311 would be out of business within 10 years. The cross-examination got really heated. NASCAR's lawyer, Lawrence Buterman, grilled Hamlin for over 3.5 hours. People in the courtroom said it was intense and emotional. Hamlin openly showed how much he dislikes NASCAR's leadership. Throughout his testimony, Hamlin kept calling NASCAR a monopoly. He said it multiple times. "We are not a monopoly like you are," he told the lawyer, clearly directing his words at the France family who owns NASCAR. Buterman tried to catch Hamlin in contradictions. He pointed out that Hamlin has said positive things about NASCAR on podcasts and TV shows. Hamlin even praised the next-gen race car publicly, calling it good for the sport. But Hamlin had a simple explanation for that. He said NASCAR gives drivers talking points and expects them to say positive things in public. If drivers say anything negative, there are consequences. Hamlin explained it clearly. "Because if I say anything bad, I get a lashing from NASCAR. So publicly, it's all sunshine and rainbows." He said his job is to take NASCAR's talking points and repeat them to make fans happy. He went even further. "The reality is, being negative affects me in technical inspection, getting called to the hauler, NASCAR not liking what I said." In other words, if Hamlin criticizes NASCAR publicly, they can make his life difficult at the racetrack. When the lawyer asked if people could trust what Hamlin says publicly, Hamlin shot back. "That's nonsense. What I do publicly is put out positivity. That's my job. You guys give me talking points. I say it to make fans feel happy." One thing that really bothers Hamlin is something called the Driver Incentive Plan. This program pays drivers to promote NASCAR. But here's the catch. The teams actually pay 40% of that money. Hamlin said this bugs him the most as a team owner. NASCAR takes the team's biggest marketing asset, which is the drivers, and uses them to promote NASCAR instead of the teams. The teams get nothing back from this. NASCAR's lawyer pointed out that Hamlin benefits from this program since he's a driver. But Hamlin fired back. "We pay drivers, not NASCAR." The lawyer then said, "Most drivers don't have a $14 million salary like you do." Hamlin's response was perfect. "Most drivers don't win the number of races each season that I do." The teams are now asking for $205 million in damages from NASCAR. That would be a 900% return on Hamlin's investment. NASCAR's lawyers questioned whether that was fair. This trial could completely change NASCAR forever. If Hamlin and Jordan win, the judge has the power to force NASCAR to sell the sport or sell all their racetracks. He could completely tear apart how NASCAR operates today.
Denny Hamlin broke down crying in a courtroom on Monday, and what he said next could change NASCAR forever. The 3-time Daytona 500 winner just revealed the shocking truth about how much money teams are really losing in racing. The big trial everyone has been talking about finally started in Charlotte, North Carolina. Denny Hamlin and basketball legend Michael Jordan are suing NASCAR. They say NASCAR is being unfair to race teams and making it impossible for them to make money. Hamlin was the first person to talk to the jury. When the lawyer asked him how he got started in racing, Hamlin started crying. He had to stop talking for a minute to calm down. He told everyone his dad is very sick right now, and that made him emotional. Hamlin explained how his working-class parents spent almost all their money to help him race when he was young. They nearly went broke, keeping his dream alive. When Hamlin was 20 years old, he had to make a tough choice. He said, "I could keep racing or go out and work for my dad's trailer business." He picked racing, and years later, he wanted to own a team, but he knew he needed help, so he called his friend Michael Jordan. Hamlin used to sit courtside at Charlotte Hornets basketball games when Jordan owned the team. They became friends, and Hamlin asked Jordan to be his partner. Hamlin told the jury something really important. He said, "If I can't be successful with Michael as a partner, I knew this was never going to work." That shows how hard it is to make money in NASCAR, even with one of the most famous athletes in the world helping you. Then Hamlin started dropping the real bombshells about money. He told the jury it cost $20 million just to bring one race car to the track for all 38 races in a season. And that $20 million does not include paying the driver or running the business office. It does not include social media people or sponsor events. Those are extra costs on top of the $20 million. Here is where it gets crazy. NASCAR gives teams something called a charter. If you have a charter, your car is guaranteed to race every week, and you get paid for it. In 2025, each charter pays $12.5 million. That sounds like a lot of money until you remember it costs $20 million to race. That means teams are losing $7.5 million before they even think about driver salaries and office expenses. Hamlin explained that team owners have to raise tens of millions of dollars in sponsorships just to break even. He said owners are essentially just professional fundraisers. He told the jury, "The difficult part is coming up with tens and tens of millions just to break even. Your costs aren't covered to put on NASCAR's show." The numbers got even more shocking. Hamlin said his team 23XI Racing bought 3 charters from other teams. The first one cost $4.7 million. The second one cost $13.5 million. The third one cost $28 million. That is a total of $46.2 million spent on charters. And here is the sad part. All 3 of those charters came from teams that went out of business. Hamlin pointed out that 11 of the first 19 teams that got charters are no longer racing. They closed down. They could not afford to keep going. Hamlin said, "Only one side is going out of business," and he meant the race teams, not NASCAR. The team also built a fancy headquarters called Airspeed. That building cost $35 million. Hamlin said they had to spend that much money because they are competing with other teams and even NASCAR itself to get sponsors. Now, you might wonder how 23XI Racing stays in business. Hamlin said it is all because of Michael Jordan. In the team's first year in 2021, they spent $18 million and made a tiny profit of $400,000. Over the next 3 years, they brought in $40 million in sponsorships because Jordan's name opens doors. Without Jordan, Hamlin said the team would lose money every year. But 23XI Racing is the exception. Hamlin's lawyer, Jeffrey Kessler, told the jury that Bob Jenkins owns Front Row Motorsports. Jenkins has been racing since 2004, and his team has never made a profit, not once in 20 years. His team even won the Daytona 500 inches, 2021, one of the biggest races in NASCAR, and he still lost money that year. Kessler shared another stunning fact. NASCAR paid for a study that found 75% of teams lost money in 2024. 3 out of every 4 teams are losing money. Meanwhile, the France family that owns NASCAR took home almost $400 million over 3 years. A company called Goldman Sachs said NASCAR is worth $5 billion. Kessler told the jury, "What the evidence is going to show is Mr. France ran this for the benefit of his family at the expense of the teams and sport." The lawyer asked an important question. He said, "So, why would these people do this if you are just going to lose money because NASCAR isn't giving you a fair deal?" Then he answered his own question, "Because you love stock car racing and there's nowhere else to do it." That is the heart of the problem. If you want to race stock cars at the top level, NASCAR is your only choice. There is no other series. Teams say that makes NASCAR a monopoly, which means they have all the power and teams have none. NASCAR's lawyer, Johnny Stephenson, told a very different story. He said NASCAR has been good to the teams. The charter system started in 2016, and it gave teams guaranteed spots in races. Before charters, teams had to qualify on speed, and if they were too slow, they did not race at all and did not get paid. Stevenson said charters are now worth $45 million each, and that shows the system is working. He said NASCAR has created $1.5 billion in value for the 36 teams with charters. Stevenson also defended the France family. He said, "The France family built NASCAR from nothing. They are an American success story. They've done it through hard work over 75 years. That's the kind of effort that doesn't deserve a lawsuit. That's the kind of effort that deserves admiration." NASCAR's lawyer asked the jury why smart business people keep buying charters if they are such a bad deal. He said, "If charters are so bad, why do great businessmen keep buying them and investing in them? If charters are so bad, why do they want to make them permanent?" Michael Jordan sat in the courtroom watching all of this happen. He could not testify yet because he might be called as a witness later. His presence caused some funny moments during jury selection. 2 people had to be removed from the jury because they loved Michael Jordan too much. What happens in this trial could change everything. If NASCAR wins, 23XI Racing and Front Row Motorsports might go out of business. NASCAR is holding their charters right now, and those charters would probably be sold to someone else. But if Hamlin and Jordan win, the changes could be massive. The judge has the power to break up NASCAR's control. He could force NASCAR to sell its racetracks. He could get rid of the charter system completely. He could make NASCAR pay teams a lot of money in damages. Nothing is off the table. The trial is expected to last 2 weeks. Hamlin will go back on the witness stand on Tuesday for more questions. Then NASCAR's lawyers will get to ask him their questions, which is called cross-examination. Behind the scenes, this trial has already exposed some ugly stuff. During the preparation for trial, lawyers found text messages and emails from NASCAR executives. In one conversation, NASCAR Commissioner Steve Phelps and other leaders called Hall of Fame team owner Richard Childress a dinosaur, an idiot, and a stupid redneck. They said he needed to be taken out. Back and flogged. Another NASCAR executive said fans of the sport cannot read. The race teams said some mean things too. The president of 23XI Racing said Jim France would have to die for teams to get a fair deal. Hamlin admitted he does not like the France family. Right now, NASCAR is at a crossroads. TV ratings dropped 14% this past season. Attendance at races is down from the 2000s. When they picked the jury for this trial in North Carolina, which is NASCAR country, only 3 out of 19 people said they were race fans. That shows how much the sport has changed. Hamlin's testimony made one thing crystal clear. He said the current system is unfair because the costs aren't covered to put on their show. He wants teams to have a say when NASCAR makes rule changes or schedule changes.
What you could do different, because I felt like, I did exactly what the format asked me to do, and it still wasn't right.
Denny Hamlin just stunned the NASCAR world with a revelation no one saw coming. The Phoenix Championship race was his moment. Total dominance, perfect execution, and a title finally within reach. But in an instant, it all collapsed. One decision, one twist, one heartbreaking ending that left fans speechless. And now, after holding back for days, Hamlin has finally spoken out, and what he said has sent shockwaves through NASCAR. Let's rewind. Phoenix Raceway, the site of the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship. All 4 championship contenders, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, William Byron, and one more, lined up first through 4th with just 30 laps to go. It was a dream scenario for fans and the league. The playoff system had worked perfectly, at least on the surface. Denny Hamlin was in full control. We're not talking about just leading a few laps here and there. He was dominating. With a 2.5-second lead, Hamlin looked untouchable. That's an eternity in NASCAR terms. He had 6 wins that season, a championship-caliber crew behind him, and the perfect setup at the right time. The race looked over. Larson, Byron, and the others were chasing shadows. Then, disaster struck. With just 3 laps to go, William Byron's right front tire exploded. The caution flag waved. In an instant, everything changed. That massive lead Hamlin had, gone, erased. And now, his crew had to make the most important call of their season in seconds. Do they go with 2 tires and try to hold track position, or take 4 tires for maximum grip and hope Hamlin can carve back through the field? This wasn't just about a race win. This was for the championship. Years of preparation, 35 races, and millions of dollars in investment, all coming down to one pit stop. Hamlin's crew made the conservative call. 4 tires. On paper, it made sense. Give your driver the best equipment possible. Don't risk getting beat by someone with fresher tires. But what happened next would flip the championship on its head. Kyle Larson's team made the bold move, the opposite call. They took just 2 tires. It was a gamble, but one that could pay off big if Larson could control the restart. 2 tires meant less grip, but faster pit exit time, and most importantly, track position. That decision would change everything. As the field rolled off pit road, Larson emerged ahead of Hamlin. He'd sacrificed some grip for the advantage of clean air and front row control. When the green flag dropped, all eyes were on him. The restart was pandemonium. Larson launched perfectly, using every bit of momentum from those 2 fresh tires to hold the lead line. Hamlin, buried deeper in traffic with 4 fresh tires, struggled to make up ground. It didn't matter that his car had been the fastest all day. The chaos of the restart erased every ounce of his dominance. Larson held on just long enough. Despite the grip advantage of others behind him, his track position and flawless driving made the difference. As the laps ticked down, Hamlin could only watch from behind. Every turn, every second was slipping away. The car that had looked unbeatable was now boxed in. When the checkered flag waved, Kyle Larson crossed the line in third place, but crucially, ahead of every other championship contender. Brad Keselowski won the race, but Larson won what mattered,